Okay, this is Bella and Willa. Wow. All right. This is someone and someone. Bella and Will. And it's a Thursday, and it's, I think, April 16th. And we're sitting in our family room. We just took a little excursion, which we've been able to do more of together in recent weeks because I've been working from home. So it's been kind of nice, and we've been spending some time together. And when I go out to take a photo, sometimes Bella can come with me and stay in the car, and occasionally I'll run downstairs from my upstairs office and say hello. So we have a little more together time, and we haven't done a podcast for a while, but we did actually start one a few minutes ago in the park, and then since I can only figure out how to do this technology all in one take, we're having to start over. So we were talking about how to figure out how to deal with Bella remembering stuff when she goes out, like on a store excursion, and not us discussing it at home and then her getting to the store and doing something completely different. So do you have something to jump in? Want to jump in here?
I do have something to say. I went to the store to get bags because I'm raking and doing a lot of hard work that you would normally pay someone to do. And when I got there, I got the bags, and I thought, wow, the apocalypse is, it could soon be coming. So whenever I go to the store, even if it's just for lawn bags, I always buy a bunch of food to put in my freezer so that should the day come that, people start eating each other, I will have food that, would be available. And unfortunately, because of my disease, I don't pay as much attention to directions from Will and from myself. So I went to Hannaford, and I got one container of the bags, and then I went to Price Chopper to get what they had, boxes of them, and I was really psyched. And then I sort of then lost what I was doing. I'm thinking, maybe I should find that chicken that we like so much, and maybe we should do this, and maybe I should get this. And eventually it started to be buying bags to buying a huge cart full of food. And I was really proud of myself because I have this idea that we're going to need to have a lot of extra food if something bad happens. So I'm slowly filling up our freezer. But I didn't take into consideration that I didn't really have any money with me to do any shopping. So I had to get bailed out by my husband. But basically, the two clerks that were there with me, there was a woman who was at the register, and then there was a man who came over too, and they were extremely kind and nice to me. It's rare that I go into the grocery store and the grocery store attendants are so kind and helpful as those two were. I have no idea who they were, other than they were incredibly considerate and very kind to me, and I really appreciate them. It was a woman and a man, and I was $15 short from my bill, and the woman took her own money to pay it out. And my husband went back later and, paid her back. But you don't find that very often, especially in times like this, that a grocery clerk at the grocery store is willing to take money out of her own pocket for a complete stranger who had just, $15, $16 less than I need, or more than I needed.
Yeah. But it was kind of a tough incident because I got kind of frustrated when you told me about it, and then you were sad that you had screwed up, and it kind of affected your mood for a while.
It's still affecting my mood. But I will say, I went to the whole point was to get the the lawn bag so that I could clean up our front area.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed, with my incredible resilience,
yeah,
whatever, and bagged 19 leaf bags.
Yeah.
Between the time I left the store with all the new bags and the time my husband got home, I had bagged 19 bags, and I still have probably about 10 left to go.
Yeah.
And the guys in the truck came by, picked them all up, threw them in the back of the thing, and they were gone.
Yeah. You've been working incredibly hard on the lawn and garden.
I have. It's true.
But you had a good idea, which was to write stuff on your hand before you go to the store.
I usually do that.
Well, you haven't done it you do?
I used to do it all the time.
Right.
I do it on my palm, and then I do it on the back of my hand, and sometimes I'd even do it on my arm.
Yeah.
But I forgot to do that.
Yeah.
I do have a everybody knows I have a memory problem, let's say, that I have this great plan, what I'm going to do, and then it's lost to me in the nethers of my brain. I don't know where the brilliance of me goes to, but it sticks around for a short while, and then it takes a walk.
Yeah, and it's not just like forgetting something, as you pointed out. It's like it's completely wiped away.
Yeah, it is. It's like an eraser. Yeah. It's like there's an eraser in my brain.
And that can happen in a minute or 2 minutes. I mean, it can happen very quickly.
Yeah, and I don't notice it until the repercussions appear. I don't realize that I'm screwing up until I realize it, and it's a repercussion.
Yeah, and then it's kind of harsh. It's sort of a harsh slap in the face when you do realize it. But you can't sort of escape the knowledge that, I didn't do something that I was supposed to or that I agreed to.
Right. No, and I feel really bad when that happens because I truly, totally forget what I'm supposed to be doing. If it's manual labor, no problem. I can remember exactly what to do and how well to do it, and that includes bagging leaves and cleaning the house and stuff like that. But if I have to go out, it seems like my brain, is playing a trick on me. Yeah. So I have to pay really close attention, write things on my arms or my hands and stuff like that. But even then, I often forget. Especially yesterday was one of those days because I was bagging 19 bags of leaves in front of my sidewalk, and my dog was on the other side of the fence and very upset that we weren't together. So I was. When there's more than several things happening at the same time, I get really distracted.
Right.
And I was worried. The dog was like, every time I moved a little ways in one direction, she would follow me and whine because I'm on one side of the fence and she's on the other, and that really bums her out. So, I was sort of preoccupied by making sure she's okay, at the same time making sure all the worms that I find when I rake up everything gets back in the garden so they don't get stepped on and squashed. So, even though it doesn't seem like, that's important stuff or something, it's just the way my brain works. It's like I see a worm while I'm raking it up. I don't just stomp on it or leave it. I pick it up and take it and put it in the garden.
Yeah.
And then by the time I come back from doing that, I'm like, what was I just doing?
Yeah. Or not. Or you just continue with another thing, and you whatever it was that you were supposed to remember is just completely gone.
Right.
I mean, I think that's a hard thing to realize. People who don't have experience with Alzheimer's, I know that I wouldn't have really appreciated to the extent that it becomes impossible to make up for what's happening. It's like there's nothing, like you say, well, you could write something on your hand, and that might work because you might actually notice that you have something written on your hand.
Right.
But in order for that to really work, you have to remember that you're supposed to look at your hand,
Right.
and that's not something that happens. It's not like you remember, you have this feeling that you're forgetting something, like, or you're trying to remember a grocery list and you're like, I'm not remembering all of the list,
Right.
and then you can check your list. It's like, that's not the way it works. It's like, there's nothing there. There's no thought that, you're forgetting something. It's like, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, which is buying a huge cart of groceries when you're only supposed to buy 2 things.
Right. But, my usual prior Alzheimer's, I used to do big grocery shopping. I mean, that was something I would do all the time. I would go to the grocery store and sometimes spend a couple $100, stock up on stuff. And that, even though I'm, different now, that still settles in my brain. Okay, you're at the grocery store, you have to do big shopping, this is what you need to get, blah, 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 blah. But not that I wasn't supposed to do anything. It was like that before Bella went mental, it was normal for me to do a big grocery shopping and not have to ask permission or, figure anything out. I was very independent prior to the disease.
Right. And that's something that's also hard for us to balance, because I want you to have that, or at least have some of it. And on the other hand, that means sometimes, it doesn't work out, or there's problems.
Right. And when I went to, the problem is that there's too many things going on. I went to Hannaford and they only had 1 package of leaf bags. So then I'm like, 1 package isn't going to be enough. Obviously, I bagged 19 bags. So I went up to Price Chopper and they had boxes and boxes of them. And so I hope I grabbed a bunch of them, but I can't remember because...
You did.
I did? Oh, good. And when I was in the grocery store getting the bags, I thought, wow, they have the bags here. So I got a bunch of them. And then, of course, I'm like, well, I got to go see if that chicken that we always like is there. So I better go get that. And then it's like, oh, do we have half and half? So by the time I'm out with my, $70 plan, I come out with, the $120 cartful. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, and then of course, because I was frustrated and a bit upset by the whole situation, then you feel like you're making my life a living hell.
Well, it is
and
true.
That's not true.
Well, I cry a lot about it. I probably didn't know that. Did you?
You've mentioned it. I feel terrible about that. I'm really, really sorry. I shouldn't react like that. And it's not true. This is my life, and it's a great life.
Yeah, but when I feel like I'm being not doing the right thing, it really upsets me, as it would anybody.
Sure.
Even if you don't have Alzheimer's, if you screw up and it plays a negative part in your life, it's a bummer. But I tend to do that a lot, and I don't even realize it. When I went to the grocery store, I didn't even realize, the bags, yay. I'm like, I should go get that chicken. Got to get something for the dog. And by the time I'm done, I've got $140 worth of groceries. And I went to get one thing, bags.
Yeah.
And that's, and I don't even think about the fact that the bags was supposed to be the objective. You go in the grocery store, you think about, oh gosh, we need this, which is true, because I am planning for the end of the world, and I'm trying to stock up on all my food so that we'll have food when everybody else is eating each other. But I don't realize that I'm screwing up.
So what you get upset about, what you cry about, is that you feeling like you are burdening me?
I'm burdening the whole family, even my animals. Poor Pepper, she couldn't go outside with me yesterday. She went outside, but I was on the outside of the fence and she was on the inside of the fence, and she was so upset. She was whining and walking back and forth because we weren't in the same area.
Well, okay, but that's not burdening her because you have Alzheimer's.
No, but it upsets me. It was something that really upset me, that she was whining and I couldn't, go on the other side of the fence with her.
Right. And you're more sensitive to those things now. You're more emotional about things like Pepper whining. I mean,
I've always been that way. That hasn't changed at all. I think
you're always kind of soft-hearted about the animals and sensitive to them, but I don't think that you were also more practical. You were more hard-headed about things also.
But not about the pets.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. I think a bit about the pets. I think if you had something you needed to do and Pepper was whining, in the past, you'd be like, oh, that's too bad, but this is something I got to do.
Maybe, but I before she had surgery, I never left the house without her. I mean, she got in the car with me every single time I left the house. And then she had an injury and she couldn't get in the car anymore.
Yeah. Well, there was that. That's true.
And that changed a lot.
Yeah, that was a phase that did happen for a while. That's true. But, I mean, I want you to know that I don't feel burdened, and I don't think the rest of the family does either. I feel like circumstances have changed, and, that's part of life. Circumstances do change. That's something that happens, and I still feel really fortunate and, really blessed. I really do. That I have a really good life.
I don't know about that.
I do.
I do cook well, even with...
Yes. But it's not specific. I mean, it is, but it's not. That's not the big picture. It's not, what you do or don't do. It's just spending time with you and being together and, feeling good about it. And feeling, happy to be with you. And that's the way it is.
But why?
Because you're such a goofball. You still make me laugh.
That's easy to do when you're mental.
Well, then, I guess you've always been mental.
To some extent, but not to the extent where it inhibits my ability to function like a regular person.
That's really hard, that's terrible. And I think that it's hardest on you yourself,
Well, I used to be perfect.
That is so hard. When you used to be perfect and now you're not.
Exactly.
God.
I was so on top of stuff. It was like, to some extent, I was in charge of the important things.
To some extent?
But I can't do that now. It's like I can drive really easily. I know exactly where I need to go, wherever I need to go. But so much has changed. Like, I can't take the dog with me in the car because she has bad hips and she can't get in the car, and she can't stand up in the back of the car because she won't sit down. I mean, I know that seems frivolous, but my dog and my bunny are very important to me.
Well, that's something that's changed with Pepper and not with you.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to do with Pepper.
But Pepper is like a child to me.
Yeah, I know.
She is so important to me. And Beans is as well, but not to the extent of Pepper. I mean, I love Beans. He's really funny. Beans is our bunny. He's really funny. He roams all over the house. He always gets himself in trouble. He's sweet as sweet can be, and he's as bold as anybody would ever want a bunny to be if you wanted a bold bunny. He's not afraid of the dog. He jumps over the dog. He pushes the dog away. I mean, he's just really a bossy little bunny, but he's lovely.
One thing that's been nice, I think, is that during this coronavirus stay-at-home time, we've been spending more time together during the day.
That's true. Like I just went with you just on a thing.
On a photo assignment.
Yeah.
And that's nice.
But there was a time when I was actually a photographer for the newspaper in Saranac Lake.
There was. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't do that anymore.
No.
But that's because we were trying to get pregnant.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because I was in the dark room all the time, and I was afraid that if I stayed in there, I wouldn't have a normal child.
That's right.
So I decided it would be best just to adopt a normal child, which we did. Two of them, actually.
If you want to call them normal.
They are very normal.
I think they're extraordinary.
I do too.
I think they're beyond normal.
There's no way we could have had better children biologically. The two that we got is just unbelievable. That Zobo and then Tam. You couldn't get better kids than them. If only I could start a cloning business.
We've been very lucky in our kids.
Yeah, very lucky. They're very nice children, and they're very, very hardworking and pleasant, and they have lots of friends, and they do a lot. They enjoy themselves together. And they have an older sister, which is really nice because they spend a lot of time visiting her as well, and she lives in Massachusetts, but it doesn't stop them from hopping in the car and going and visit their older sister.
Yeah.
It's, it's an important relationship they've cemented together.
And Ginny's really good about it.
Yeah. No, she's wonderful. She's the oldest.
Yep. So, anyway, after this trip down memory lane, I totally forget where we were.
I don't know either.
I don't know what we were talking about.
My mentalness?
But, I guess.
I am.
But, so, I said it's been kind of nice that we're spending time together during the coronavirus. But it also seems like you're having a bit of a hard time these days. Recently feeling anxious, and I don't know. I'm not sure why.
Well, things are not normal. They're not, I've always, see, I can't even speak, operated a tight ship, Everything is organized, everything is the way it's supposed to be, things are different now. And it's not just the coronavirus, it's also, I don't think the same way I used to think. And I forget right in the middle of thinking about something, and then it sort of diverts me to another area in my brain. So it's like I'm going in the right direction, and then I get diverted by something. I see something, or someone stops and talks to me or something, and that's it. I have to start from the very beginning of what I started to do. Like if I go to the grocery store and somebody stops and talks to me, I'm done. I mean, I can't. It's like, okay, what am I here for? Even if I write it on my hand or I have a piece of paper in my pocket, it's kind of gone.
Yeah.
I wish they could find a cure for it.
Yeah, me too.
But I bet at some point they will, but I'll probably be gone by then. Because I have early onset. I don't have the onset that happens at, age 70. I have it. How old was I? Like 38?
You're kidding, right?
No.
No, it was 3 years ago you were diagnosed.
Oh,
so that was 58.
58, okay.
But
that's still very young.
It's very young. And, once you're diagnosed, that means, it's something they can measure. So it definitely started sooner than that.
Yeah.
So probably in your 50s, mid-50s probably, which is definitely young. Although, some people have developed dementia of various sorts in their 30s, even 20s. So that's,
and even younger. I read about an 18-year-old.
Wow, that's awful.
It is. Because the earlier it starts, the longer the less you live. The the
quicker
disease doesn't stop even if, I don't know. It's just not a very nice disease. It's a terrible one.
It is. Oh, phone's ringing. Should we say
Sure.
goodbye?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.